and good morning. This Sunday is the beginning of our summer series on prosperity. And so my talk today is The Science of Getting Rich, which is the book that we will use during our summer prosperity class. And anytime I start talking about money, I know that there are some people who are all, yes, bring it on, come on, let's do this. Let's be the powerful, creative, spiritual beings we were always meant to be. And other people are, I don't know. You know, I'm not sure that we should have money. Isn't money the root of all evil? He didn't say that. He said the love of money. He didn't say money. He's the one who had his disciples pull the gold coin out of the fish's mouth. He's the one that said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. He wasn't against money, but somehow some of us think that being poor is being spiritual. So I would be spiritual, and I would be broke. No, 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 no. Actually, what Jesus said was that I have come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. And there's this idea in life itself that is about expansion and evolution. And so inherent in life must be a concept of prosperity and abundance. There must be an idea of more than, or evolution wouldn't move forward, it would go backwards. And instead of us being here, we would have died out long ago. There's an inherent quality of prosperity that is in our spiritual nature. It's the essence of us. And when we don't align with that, when we shut down to that, especially when we make some kind of a story that's usually based on some kind of sense of lack of self-worth, that we don't deserve to have money, that we've done something a long time ago that we shoved in the closet and locked the door, and that there's something that we need to be punished for, whenever we move into that idea that says, no, it's not right to have money, we're not supposed to be happy, we're not supposed to live the rich and full life, we are going against our nature. That's why it never feels good to be broke. It never feels good to be broke because we're going against our nature. And other people think, well, you know, you people in science of mind, you're just so greedy. You're just so selfish. All you want is gimme, gimme, gimme. How shallow is that? I've been traveling a lot lately, and I see these same videos. They don't even have the flight attendant do it anymore, but they have the video that they show you of safety. And it always says over and over and over again, if there's a reduction in cabin pressure, oxygen masks will fall from the ceiling. And if that happens, relax and always put your own mask on before you try to help others. Because if you don't put your own mask on, you will pass out. If we are broke, we can't do anything. We can't give to anybody else. We can't support anyone else because we're too busy passing out or being unconscious in our spiritual expression of life. And I don't know if you've ever been broke, but it really was clear to me that being broke was unconscious. All I could focus on was being broke. And so if I want to be conscious, if I want to be open, if I want to be clear, then I have to be willing to open up to all that life is as me. That God is as me. Thank you. Where are you? There you are. Yes, thank you. Thank you. We're not just a little piece of God. We're not just a speck of God. We are all that God is. And I don't know if you've noticed, especially with the rain that you guys had while I was gone, we live in a lush world. It's lush out there. It's not like nature says, well, you know, we grew last summer, so we're going to just put the brakes on this summer because there's only so much growth to go around. And I think that if we grow over here, maybe China won't have any growth, so we want to hold back. No! Nature grows and grows and grows and grows and grows as much as it can, because that's expressing its fullness. When we express our fullness, we grow. So there's this idea that says we have a right to be rich, and that there's a way to do it. I love teaching tools. I love teaching tools. Wallace Wattles wrote this book, The Science of Getting Rich, in 1910. That is over 100 years ago. He wrote this book before Ernest Holmes wrote. Wallace Wattles was first. And he came up with this idea through his own logical thinking. And he said that there is a way to allow the abundance of life to move through us and to show up as our experience. So, the first thing to get clear on is that we have a right to be rich. That there is no God up on the clouds that is trying to punish us and keep us poor. There is nobody outside of us, whether it's the economy, whether it's business, whether it's our ex-spouse. Nobody outside of us that can impact our ability to get rich. The only thing that's going on is inside of us. And he says, I love this book. I've read it a dozen times. I read it again while I was down in Florida. I recorded it. And if you haven't found it, it's on our website. I'm going to make a bunch of CDs to give away in class of Barbara Waterhouse reading The Science of Getting Rich while I was driving back from Charlotte. I listened to myself. I'm fantastic. I did. And I noticed that there were new things in this that I maybe hadn't quite picked up on before. One of the things that he says is that being in control of your thinking is the hardest thing you will ever do. Controlling your thought is the hardest thing you will ever do. He says that there's a science of getting rich, and that the first thing that we do is realize that there's no one outside of us that can take it away from us or give it to us. There's no God that wants to keep us down. That being rich is not dependent on your location, on your education, on your gender, on what kind of business or career that you are in. It doesn't have anything to do with that. If it was dependent on your location, everybody in one town would be rich and everybody in the other town would be poor. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It doesn't have anything to do with the things that you do on the outside. It has everything to do with the things that you do on the inside. And he said one of the first things that you have to do is to develop an image, a vision of what being rich is like. And that being rich is not about money. Isn't that amazing? Even though I put the $100 bills up there to get your attention. Being rich is not about money. Money's a very effective tool, but it's not even paper, it's cloth. It's just a little thing with some ink on it. And evidently, the Fed is very comfortable in printing more and more and more of it. It's what meaning and value we attach to that. And so he says, think about what your life will be like. And don't just say, oh, I would be rich. No, that's not good enough. That's lazy thinking. Lazy thinking. He said, think about it in detail. How would your life be? Exactly how would your life be? What kind of things would you do? Where would you be? How would you experience it? Make it real. And then don't think about anything else. He says that thinking about other things, thinking about your problems, thinking about what you're worried about, thinking about what you're afraid of is lazy thinking. Started listening to this word. He said, you've got to create something that is so compelling and so desirable to you that that's all that you want to think about. That is all that you will think about. Even when the fear comes up, even when the darkness comes up, you are able to hold on to what you want because it's so fantastic. And he said, if you ever find yourself in a position where you're faltering, stop doing everything. Go home and think about your life the way you want it. Create a compelling vision. And then understand that there is something that is working on that vision. And even if you can't see it yet, it is bringing it about to show up in your life. I love his treatise. He says there is a thinking stuff which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance will create the thing that is imaged by the thought. pure science of mind. There is a thinking stuff, and it's everywhere. It's between you and me. It is me, and it is you. It is the thing that we are creating. And our job is to chart the course. Our job is to be the captain of our ship and not allow the ship to go around in circles. Oh, I'm going for the life of my dreams. Oh, look, here's a bird. Oh, look, it's fear. Oh, look, there might be a problem here. Oh, no, I better not. We're going around in circles. He says our job is to stay the course, no matter what, and to develop a discipline of thought. And then he said that the universe is compelled to show up in our life as a reflection of that thought. He gives us some tools. He says you've got to have faith. You've got to have faith that there is something. There's something here. I don't know what it is. Anybody who tells you what it is a liar. It's law of attraction. It's energy. It's creative force. Who knows what it is? It moves, it vibrates, it shifts. I know what it does. It shows up in physical form. There's something here. You can feel it. You wouldn't be sitting in this room if you didn't know that. There's something here, and it does something. When we think a thought, when we focus on it, when we put that energy into it, it shows up as the outpicturing of the thought, no matter how impossible it may seem to be. And it is our job to stay that course and to bring about the life that we are meant to live. He says there are things to do. One is, which I love, he says it is to overfill your place, to always give out more than you get. And when I was learning science of mind, that would be called putting the universe in your debt. And the universe is never debtor, because there is no empty spot in the universe. So it always has to reciprocate that energy coming back to you. Always put it out. Always put it out. Somebody gives you something, give it away. Give out love. Give out joy. If you walk by and there's a piece of paper on the ground and you see it, it's yours to pick up. If you didn't see it, it's okay. But if you see it, it's yours to pick up. If there's something for you to do, do it. Don't say, well, you know, I put in my 8 hours today, or my 6 hours and 25 minutes. I've done my stuff today. I know that this really needs to be handled, but I'm not going to do it. No, you've got to be willing to overfill your place. You've got to be willing to give out more and more and more and more and more. And when you do that, you get back more and more and more. Maybe you've known people who just give out just as much as they have to at the very last second, and only if you twist their arm. They're called cheapskates. They live a cheap life. And that's what they get. I don't care how much money they've got in the bank. They're not rich. You can have money and not be rich. I've known people who haven't had a lot of money and they were rich. But I want them to have money. It's my job to want them to have money. I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was born into a very working class family, and I was experiencing all kinds of lack and limitation, just like most of us did as a child. There were times when I was hungry. There was times when my shoes didn't fit. There were times when no was the answer of the day. That's just the way that my environment was. And so what I needed to do was go beyond that and move from the universe of no to the universe of yes. And if I sat on the couch and waited for somebody to hand it to me, it would have never happened. He said the only thing that you can impact is yourself. And you do that by impacting your thought, by what you focus on, and by not being a lazy thinker. He says if things are starting to get you down or challenge your faith, move directly into gratitude. Be grateful for anything. Be grateful for everything. Because what you focus on and dwell upon, you create in your life. So if you are grateful for it, it will grow. Be grateful. There are people living on this planet that look at us like kings and queens, and we bitch about our lives. Amen. We do that. We do that. There are people who would do anything to have our life. Look at us. We're in a beautiful room. We have clean clothes on. Most of us have bathed in the last 24 hours. If we didn't eat earlier, we're going to eat in a few minutes. Larry's out there barbecuing chicken. There's so much going on in our lives. And so when we look at what we've got and focus on that, we've taken hold of our thinking. But some of us are lazy. And as I was listening to this CD and reading the book, I thought, gosh, Barbara, you're still lazy. 35 years of working on myself, and I'm still lazy. Because even though I have an idea of how I want my life to be, I haven't put the time in to really get it. And so I started thinking about that. I started thinking about, what are you doing here, Barbara? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I started coming up with some ideas about what we are and what we can be. There's this concept of a purpose or a mission statement that we really haven't ever had. So I've played with this idea, and this is a work in progress, but what has come to me is that we, the Center for Spiritual Living Asheville, use the teachings of science of mind to experience our oneness of spirit as we create a better life for ourselves and every being on this planet. Wow, we use science of mind because it's good. But honest to God, if something else came along that was better, I'd grab it. If something else came along that said more clearly that we create our reality, that is our thought, that is creative in our lives, that there is a universal mind that we impress thought into and it manifests into form, if something could say that better than I just said it, I would take that. But for right now, we use the teachings of science of mind. For what? To experience our oneness, that we are spirit made manifest as us. God did not show up broke. God did not show up poor. If we are experiencing that, it is lazy thinking. And so I'm looking at that going, well, we experience our oneness of spirit, and as we do that, our lives get better. Our lives get better and better and better, not only for us, but because there's only one, we lift everyone else on the planet up. And so I want to experience that at a greater level than we ever have. The kids in Centers for Spiritual Living, it's summertime, they're off school, the teenagers. John's going to summer camp in a week, but they are going back to Malawi in Africa to continue to build schools. They've built 12 schools already. And they don't order concrete block from the local Lowe's. They have to dig the dirt, mix it with water, put it into forms, pop it out in the sun, let it dry. And then they put it together and they build schools. They dig the footers by hand. They're going back out there this summer. I got the email saying the kids are going back out to build more schools in Malawi. Please send us money to fly the kids out there. And I noticed how quickly I hit delete. That's lazy thinking. That's lazy thinking. Because as we lift ourselves up and everybody else on the planet up, we send the kids money to send them to Malawi to build schools for the other us's that live on the other side of the world. Where else have I been lazy? And how can I be more clear? And so I'm looking at our school, our Light of Wisdom school. If I had the richest, most prosperous life that I could have, I would scholarship every kid in that school. Just get the kids in, pass out some ropes. Bring the children in. They need to be in an environment that loves them and supports them. Two of our kids, they don't test every year, but because we're a non-public school, we do have to, the only requirement that we have other than immunizations is that they take a 3rd grade, 6th grade, 9th grade, and then a high school equivalency test. And the 2 kids that took the 3rd grade test tested in the top 99th percentile of the country. Because if you let children learn when they want to learn and what they want to learn, they will learn like sponges. So I'm looking at myself going, how have I not committed to being rich, which I hold in high regard. I love the idea of being rich. I know what it's like to be poor. I know what it's like to be rich. I like rich. And how is it that I am still allowing myself to pull back in fear for whatever reason and somehow rationalize and weave a story around it all that says it's okay not to have every last thing that God wants to have as me? So what I want you to know is that I am newly committed, not to just having money, but I love money. And I have money. I have money. Well, John tells me not to tell you that. I have lots of money. Some money is in accounts and some isn't, but I like to have money. And so I have that, and yet what I want to do is to use my life and my time, not only that I have money, but that we have money. And that means that every person who calls this center home, it is my intention for you to be rich, not just to get by, not just to make up a story about how it may happen someday and it hasn't happened yet, but to be rich. But to do that, we have to stop having lazy thinking. Lazy thinking means telling the story. Lazy thinking means listening to the news when it's saying something other than you are rich. Lazy thinking is reading things that say you can't have it. There's a wonderful book out called The Rational Optimist. There's another great book out called Abundance. It's by Peter Diamandis, the guy who wants to go mine asteroids. Yay! Yay! Lazy thinking is anything that is less than there is a thinking stuff, which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance creates the thing that is imaged by the thought. Man can create thoughts in his mind, and by impressing that thought in formless substance can create the thing that he thinks about to be created. Period, end of story. Anything less will not do. I've been a minister for 30 years, and in the words of Emerald, I got to put you on notice. I'm going to kick it up a notch. So it is.